Today we will read out the chapter 7 of class 12, Human Health and Disease. Basically, human health for a long time was considered as a state of body and mind where there was a balance of certain humors. This is what early Greeks like Hippocrates as well as Indian Ayurveda system of medicine asserted. It was thought that person with black bile belonged to hot personality and would have fevers. This idea was arrived at by pure reflective thought. The discovery of blood circulation by William Harvey using experimental method and the demonstration of normal body temperature in the persons with black bile using thermometer disproved the good humor hypothesis of health. In later years, biology stated that mind influences through neural system and endocrine system our immune system and that our immune system maintains our health. Hence, the mind and mental state can affect our health. Of course, health is affected by first genetic disorder, second infection, third lifestyle. So, first genetic disorder deficiencies with which a child is born and deficiency defect which the child inherits from the parents from birth. Infection, third lifestyle and including food, water we take, rest and exercise we give to the our bodies, habit that we have or lack, etc. etc. The term health is very frequently used by everybody. How do we define it? The health does not simply mean absence of disease or physical fitness. It could be defined as a state of complete physical, mental, and social being. When people are healthy, they are more efficient at work. This increases productivity and bring economic prosperity. Health also increases longevity of people and reduces infant and maternal mortality. Balanced diet. Personal hygiene, regular exercise are very important to maintain good health. Yoga has been practiced since time immemorial to achieve physical and mental health. Awareness about the disease and their effect of the different bodily function, vaccination against infectious disease, proper disposal of waste, control of vectors, and maintenance of hygiene in food and water resources are necessary for achieving good health. When the functioning of one or more organs or system of the body is adversely affected, the characterized by the appearance of various signs and symptoms, we say that we are not healthy. That is, we have a disease. Disease can be broadly grouped into infectious and non-infectious. Disease which are easily transmitted from one person to another are called infectious disease. Infectious diseases are very common and every one of us suffer from this at some time or other. Some of the infectious diseases like AIDS are fatal. Among non-infectious diseases, cancer is the major cause of death. Drug and alcohol abuse also affect our health adversely. Common disease in human. A wide range of organisms belonging to the bacteria, virus, fungi, protozoans, helminths, etc. could cause disease in man. Such disease-causing organisms are called pathogens. Most parasites are therefore pathogens as they cause harm to the host by living or in them. The pathogens can enter the body by various means, multiply or interfere with normal vital activities, resulting in morphological and functional damage. Pathogens have to adapt to life within the environment of the host. For example, the pathogen that enter the gut must know a way of surviving in the stomach at low pH and resist the various digestive enzymes. A few representative members of different groups of pathogenic substances are discussed along with the disease caused by them. Preventive and control measures against these diseases in general are also briefly described. Salmonella typhi is a pathogenic bacterium which causes typhoid fever in human beings. These pathogens generally enter the small intestine through food and water contaminated with them and migrate to other organs through blood. Sustain high fever 39 to 40 degrees Celsius, weakness, stomach pain, constipation, headache, and loss of appetite are some of common symptoms of this disease. Intestinal perforation and death may occur in severe cases. Typhoid fever could be confirmed by vital test. A classic case in medicine, that of Mary Mellon, nicknamed Typhoid Mary, is worth mentioning here. She was a cook by profession and was a typhoid carrier who continued to spread typhoid for several years through the food she prepared. Bacteria like Streptococcus pneumonia, Haemophilus influenza are responsible for the disease pneumonia in humans. which infect the alveoli of the lungs. As a result, the infection, the alveoli get filled with the fluid, leading to severe problems in respiration. The symptoms of pneumonia include fever, chills, cough, and headache. In severe cases, the lips and fingernails may turn gray to bluish in color. A healthy person acquires the infection by inhaling the droplet aerosol released by infected person, or even by the sharing glasses and utensils with an infected person. Dysentery, plague, diphtheria, etc. are some of the other bacterial diseases in man. Many viruses also cause disease in human beings. Rhinovirus represent one such group of viruses which cause one of the most infectious human ailments, the common cold. They infect the nose and respiratory passage but not the lungs. The common cold is characterized by the nasal congestion and discharge, sore throat, hoarseness, cough, headache, tiredness, etc., which usually last for 3 to 7 days. Droplets resulting from cough or sneezes of an infected person are either inhaled directly or transmitted through the contaminated objects such as pen, book, cup, doorknobs, computer keyboard, mouse, etc., can cause infection in the healthy person. Some of the human diseases are caused by protozoans too. You might have heard about malaria, a disease man has been fighting since many years. Plasmodium, a tiny protozoan, is responsible for this disease. Different species of Plasmodium vivax, malaria, falciparum are responsible for different types of malaria. Of these, malignant malaria caused by Plasmodium falciparum is the most serious one and can even be fatal. Let us take a glance at the life cycle of Plasmodium. Plasmodium enters the human body by sporozoites through the bite of infected female Anopheles mosquito. The parasite initially multiply within the liver cells and then attack the red blood cells, resulting in their rupture. The rupture of RBC is associated with the release of toxic substance hemozoin, which is responsible for the chill and high fever recurring every 3 to 4 days. When a female Anopheles mosquito bites an infected person, these parasites enter the mosquito's body and undergo further development. The parasites multiply within them to form sporozoites that are stored in their salivary glands. When these mosquitoes bite a human, the sporozoites are introduced into her body, thereby initiating the events mentioned above. It is interesting to note that the malarial parasite requires two hosts, human and mosquito, to complete its life cycle. The female Anopheles mosquito is the vector transmitted or agent too. Entamoeba histolytica is a protozoan parasite in the large intestine of human which cause amoebiasis. Symptoms of this disease include constipation, abdominal pain, and cramps, stools with excess mucus and blood clots. Houseflies act as a mechanical carriers and serve to transmit the parasite from feces of infected person to food and food products, thereby contaminating them. And drinking water and food contaminated by fecal matter are the main source of infection. Ascaris, the common roundworm, and Wucheria, the flareal worm, are some helminthes which are known to be pathogenic to man. Ascaris, an intestinal parasite, cause ascariasis. Symptoms of this disease include internal bleeding, muscular pain, fever, anemia, and blockage of the intestinal passage. The eggs of the parasite are excreted along with the feces of the infected person, which contaminates soil, water, plants, etc. A healthy person acquired this infectious infection through contaminated water, vegetables, fruits, etc. Wucheria, bankruptcy and malai. The filarial worm causes a slowly developing chronic inflammation of the organs in which they live for many years, usually the lymphatic vessels of the lower limbs, and the disease is called elephantiasis or filariasis. The genital organs are also often affected, resulting in gross deformities. The pathogens are transmitted to a healthy person through the bite by female mosquito vectors. Many fungi belonging to the bacteria genera Microsporum, Trichophyton, and Epidermophyton are responsible for ringworms, which is one of the most common infectious diseases in man. Appearance of dry, scaly lesions on various parts of the body, such as skin, nails, and skull, are the main symptoms of the disease. These lesions are accompanied by intense itching. Heat and moisture help these fungi to grow, which makes them thrive in skin folds such as those in the groin or between the toes. Ringworms are generally acquired from soil or by using towels, clothes, or even by the combs of infected individuals. Maintenance of a personal and public hygiene is very important for prevention and under control of many infectious diseases. Measures for personal hygiene include keeping the body clean, consumption of clean drinking water, food, vegetables, fruits, etc. Public hygiene includes proper disposal of water and excreta, periodic cleaning and disinfection of water, reservoir pools, case pools and tanks, and observing standard practices of hygiene in public catering. These measures are particularly essential where the infectious agents are transmitted through the food and water, such as typhoid, amoebiasis, and escheriasis. In case of airborne disease such as pneumonia and common cold, in addition to the above measures, close contact with the infected person or their belongings should be avoided. For diseases such as malaria and filariasis that are transmitted through insect vectors, the most important measures is to control or eliminate the vectors and their breeding places. This can be achieved by avoiding stagnation of water in and around residential areas, regular cleaning of household coolers, use of mosquito nets, introducing fish like gambusia in ponds that feed on mosquito larvae, spraying of insecticides in ditches, drainage area of swamps, etc. In addition, doors or windows should be provided with wire mesh to prevent the entry of mosquitoes. Such as precaution have to become more important, especially in the light of recent widespread incidence of the vector-borne disease like dengue and chikungunya in many parts of India. The advancement made in biological science have armed us to effectively deal with many infectious diseases. The use of vaccine and immunization programs have enabled us to completely eradicate a deadly disease like smallpox. A large number of other infectious diseases like polio, diphtheria, pneumonia, tetanus have been controlled to a large extent by use of vaccines. Biotechnology is the very verge of making available newer and safer vaccine. Discovery of antibiotics and various other drugs has also been enabled us to effectively treat infectious diseases. Now, immunity. Every day we are exposed to a large number of infections against, however, only a few of these exposures result in disease. Why? This is due to the fact that the body is able to defend itself from most of these foreign agents. This overall ability of the host to fight with the disease causing organism conferred by the immune system is called immunity. Of two types, innate immunity or acquired immunity. Innate immunity, non-specific type of defense that is present at the time of birth. This is accomplished by providing different types of barriers to entry the foreign agents into the body. Innate immunity consists of four types: physical barrier, skin or body is the main barrier which prevents entry of the microorganism. Mucous coating, the epithelium lining of the respiratory, gastrointestinal and urogenital tract also help in trapping microbes entering the body. Physiological barrier. Acid in the stomach, saliva in the mouth, tear from the eyes all prevent microbial growth. Now, cellular barrier. Certain types of leukocytes of our body like polymorphonuclear leukocytes and monocytes and natural killer in the blood as well as macrophages in the tissue can phagocytose and destroy microbes. Cytokine barrier. Virus infected cells secrete proteins called interferons which protect non-infected cells from further viral infection. Now, acquired immunity. Acquired immunity, on the other hand, is pathogenic specific. It is characterized by memory. This means when our body encounters a pathogenic for the first time, it produce a response called primary response, which is a low intensity subsequent encounter with the same pathogens elect by a highly intensified secondary or anamnestic response. This is ascribed to the fact that our body appears to have a memory of the first encounter. The primary and secondary immune response are carried out with the help of two special types of lymphocytes present in our body, that is B lymphocyte and T lymphocyte. The B lymphocyte produce an army of protein in response to the pathogens into our blood to fight with them. These proteins are called antibodies. The T cells themselves do not secrete antibodies but help B cells to produce them. Each antibody molecule has 4 peptide chain, 2 small chain, light chain and 2 longer called heavy chain. Hence the antibody is represented as H2L2. Different types of antibodies are produced in our body. IgA, IgM, IgE, IgG are some of them. A cartoon of antibody is given in the figure, which you can see. Because of these antibodies are found in the blood, the response is also called humoral immune response. This is one of the two types of our acquired immune response, antibody mediated. The second type is called cell mediated immune response or cell mediated immunity. The cell T lymphocytes mediated CMI very often when the human organ like a heart, eye, liver, kidney fail to function satisfactorily. Transplantation is the only remedy to enable the patient to live or a normal life. Then a search begins to find a suitable donor. Okay, grafts from just any source, an animal, another primate, or any human being cannot be made since the graft would be rejected sooner or later. Tissues matching, blood group matching are essential before undertaking any graft transplantation, and even after this, the patient has to take immunosuppressant all his or her life. The body is able to differentiate self and non-self, and the cell-mediated immune response is responsible for the graft rejection. Active and passive immunity. When a host is exposed to antigen, which may be in the form of living or dead microbes or other proteins, antibodies are produced in the host body. This type of immunity is called active immunity. Active immunity is slow and takes time to give its full effective response. Injecting the microbes deliberately during immunization or infectious organism gaining access into the body during natural infection induce active immunity. When ready-made antibodies are directly given to protect the body against foreign agents, it is called passive immunity. The yellowish colored colostrum secreted by mothers in the initial days of lactation has abundant antibodies IgA to protect the infant. The fetus also receives some antibodies from their mother through the placenta during pregnancy. These are the examples of passive immunity. Now, vaccination and immunization. The principle of immunization or vaccination is based on the property of memory of the immune system. In vaccination, a preparation of antigenic protein of pathogen or inactivated weakened pathogens are introduced into the body. The antibodies produced in the body against these antigens would neutralize the pathogenic agents during actual infection. These vaccine also generate memory B and T lymph cells that recognize the pathogens quickly on subsequent exposure and overwhelm the invaders with the massive production of antibodies. If a person is infected with some deadly microbes to which quick immune response is required, as in tetanus, we need to directly inject the perform antibodies or antitoxin. Even in case of snake bites, the injection which is given to the patient contains perform antibodies against the snake venom. This type of immunization is called passive immunization. Now, allergies. When you have gone to a new places, suddenly you start sneezing, wheezing, no explanation reason and why. When you went away, your symptoms disappear. This is did this happen to you? Some of us are sensitive to some particles in the environment. The above mentioned reaction could be caused because of allergy to pollen, mites, etc., which are different in different places. The exaggerate response of immune system to certain antigens present in the environment is called allergy. The substance to which such an immune response is produced are called allergens. The antibodies produced to these are IgE type. Common example of allergens are mite in dust, pollen animals, dander, etc. Symptoms of allergic reaction including sneezing, water eyes, running nose, and difficulty in breathing. Allergy is due to the release of chemicals like histamine and serotonin from the mast cell. For determining their cause of allergy, the patient is exposed to or injected with very small doses of possible allergens and the reaction studied. The use of drugs like antihistamine, adrenaline, and steroids quickly reduce the symptoms of allergens. Somehow, modern day lifestyle has resulted in the lowering of immunity and the more sensitive to allergens. More and more children in metro cities for Indians suffer from the allergies and asthma due to sensitivity to the environment. This could be because of the protected environment provided early in life. Autoimmunity. Memory-based acquired immunity evolved in higher vertebrates based on the ability to differentiate foreign organisms pathogens from self cells. While we still do not understand the basis of these two corollaries of this ability, we have to understand. One higher vertebrates can distinguish foreign molecules as well as foreign organisms. Most of the experimental immunology deals with this aspect too. Sometimes, due to genetic and other unknown reasons, the body attacks self cells. This results in damage to the body and is called autoimmune disease. Rheumatoid arthritis, which infects many people in our society, is an autoimmune disease. Immune system in the body. The human immune system consists of lymphoid organ, tissue, cells, and soluble molecules like antibodies. You have read immune system is unique in the case that I recognize foreign antigen, respond to this, and remember them. The immune system also plays an important role in allergies, reaction, autoimmune disease, and organs transplantation. Lymphoid organ, these are the organs where origin or the maturation and proliferation or lymphocytes occur. The primary lymphoid organs and bone marrow is the thymus where immature lymphocytes differentiate into antigen sensitive lymphocytes. After maturation, the lymphocytes migrate to secondary lymphoid organs like spleen, lymph nodes, tonsils, Peyer's patches of a small intestine, and appendix. The secondary lymphoid organ provide the sites for the interaction of lymphocytes with the antigen, which then proliferate to become effector cells. The location of various lymphoid organs in the human body is shown in the figure. The bone marrow is the main lymphoid organ where all the cells, including lymphocytes, are produced. The thymus is a lobed organ located near the heart and beneath the breastbone. The thymus is quite large at the time of birth. You keep reducing in size with age, and by the time puberty, which attain the reduced to form a very small size. Both bone marrow and the thymus provide microenvironments for the development of maturation of T lymphocyte. The spleen is the large bean-shaped organ. It is mainly contains lymphocytes and phagocytes. It acts as a filter of blood by trapping blood-borne microorganisms. Spleen also has a large reservoir of erythrocytes. The lymph nodes are the small solid structures located at different points along with the lymphatic system. Lymph nodes serve to trap the microorganism to the other antigens, which happen to get the lymph and tissue fluid. Antigens trapped in the lymph nodes are responsible for the activation of lymphocytes present there and cause the immune response. There is a lymphoid tissue also located within the lining of the major tract, respiratory, digestive, and a urogenital called mucosa associated lymphoid tissue MALT. It constitutes about 50% of the lymphoid tissue in the human body. Now AIDS. The word AIDS stands for acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. This means deficiency of immune system acquired during the lifetime of an individual, indicating that it is not a congenital disease. Syndrome means a group of symptoms. AIDS was the first reported in 1981, and in the last 25 years or so, it has spread all over the world, killing more than 25 million persons. AIDS is caused by the human immunodeficiency virus, a member of a group of viruses called retrovirus, which have an envelope enclosing the RNA genome. Transmission of HIV infection generally occurs by a sexual contact with infected person, by transfusion of contaminated blood and blood products, by sharing infected needles as the case of the intravenous drug abusers, and from infected needles as in the case of intravenous drug abusers, and from the infected mothers to her child through placenta. So people who are at the high risk of getting this infection includes individuals who have multiple sexual partners during addicts who take drugs intravenously, individuals who require repeated blood transfusion, and children born to have an HIV infected mother. It is important to note that HIV/AIDS is not spread by mere touch or physical contact. It spreads only through the body fluids. It is hence imperative for the physical and physiological well-being that the HIV/AIDS infected persons are not isolated from family and society. There is always a time lag between them, the infection, and the appearance of AIDS symptom. This period may vary from a few months to many years, usually 5 to 10 years. After getting into the body of a person, the virus enters into macrophages where RNA genome of the virus replicates to form viral DNA with the help of the enzyme reverse transcriptase. This viral DNA gets incorporated into host cells' DNA and direct the infected cells to produce virus particles. The macrophages continue to produce virus and in this way act like a virus HIV factory. Simultaneously, HIV enters into helper T lymphocytes, replicates and produce progeny viruses. The progeny viruses released in the blood attack other helper T lymphocytes. This is repeated, leading to a progressive disease in the number of helper T lymphocytes in the body of the infected person. During this period, the person suffers from the bout of the fever, diarrhea, and weight loss. Due to decrease in the number of helper T lymphocytes, the person starts suffering from infections that could have been otherwise overcome, such as those due to bacteria, especially mycobacterium, viruses, fungi, and even parasites like toxoplasma. The patient becomes so immune deficient that use a diagnostic test for AIDS is enzyme-linked immunosorbent assay (ELISA). Treatment of AIDS with any antiretroviral drug is only partially effective. They can only prolong the life of the patient but cannot prevent death, which is inevitable. Prevention of AIDS. As AIDS has no cure, prevention is the best option. Moreover, HIV infection more often spread due to conscious behavior patterns and is not something that happens inadvertently, like pneumonia or typhoid. Of course, infection in the blood transfusion patients, newborns from mother, etc., may take place due to poor monitoring. The only excuse may be ignorance, and it has been rightly said, don't die of ignorance. In our country, the National AIDS Control Organization (NACO) and other non-governmental organizations (NGOs) are doing a lot of educate people to AIDS, who has started a number of programs to prevent the spreading of HIV infection, making blood safe from HIV, ensuring the use of only disposable needles and syringe in the public and private hospitals and clinics, free distribution of condoms, controlling drug abuse, advocating safe sex and promoting regular checkup for drug abuse. Advocating safe sex, promoting regular checkup for HIV in susceptible population are some such steps taken up. Infection with HIV or having AIDS is something that should not be hidden, since then the infection may spread to many more people. HIV or AIDS infected people need help and sympathy instead of being shunned by society. Unless society recognizes it as a problem to be dealt with in collective manner, the chance of wider spread of the disease increase manifold. It is a malady that can be tackled by the society and medically fraternity acting together to prevent the spread of disease. Now, cancer. Cancer is one of the most dreaded disease of human being and is a major cause of death all over the globe. More than 1 million Indians suffer from cancer and a large number of them die from it annually. The mechanism that underlies development of cancer or oncogenic transformation of cells, its treatment and control have been some of the most intense area of research in biology and medicine. In our body, the cell growth differentiation is highly controlled and regulated. In cancer cells, there is breakdown of this regulatory mechanism. Normal cells show a property called contact inhibition, by virtue of which contact with cells inhibits their uncontrolled growth. Cancer cells appears to have lost this property. As a result of cancerous cells just continue to divide, giving rise to mass of cells called tumors. Tumors are of two types, benign and malignant. Benign tumors normally remain confined to their original location and do not spread to other parts of the body and cause little damage. The malignant tumor, on the other hand, are mass of proliferating cells called neoplastic or tumor cells. These cells grow very rapidly, invading and damaging the surrounding normal tissue. As these cells actively divide and grow, they also starve the normal cells by competing for vital nutrients. Cells lodged from such tumors reach distant sites through blood, and wherever they get losses in the body, they start new tumor there. This property, called metastasis, is the most feared property of malignant tumor. Cause of cancer. Transfusion of normal cells into cancerous neoplastic cells may be induced by physical, chemical, or biological agents. These agents are called carcinogens. Ionizing radiation like X-ray and gamma rays, non-ionizing radiation like UV DNA cause DNA damage leading to new plastic transformation. The chemical carcinogens present in tobacco smoke have been identified as a major cause of lung cancer. Cancer causing virus called oncogenic virus have genes called viral oncogenes. Furthermore, several genes called cellular oncogenes or proto-oncogenes have been identified in normal cells which when activated under certain conditions could lead to oncogenic transformation of the cell. Cancer detection and diagnosis. Early detection of cancers is essential as it allows the disease to be treated successfully. In many cases, cancer detection is based on biopsy and histopathological studies of the tissue and the blood and the bone marrow test for increased cell counts in the case of leukemias. In biopsy, a piece of suspected tissue cut into thin section is stained and examined under the microscope by a pathologist. Techniques like radiography, CT, and MRI are very useful to detect cancer of the internal organs. Computed tomography uses X-ray to generate a three-dimensional image of the internals of an object. MRI uses a strong magnetic field and non-ionizing radiation to accurately detect pathological and physiological changes in the living tissue. Antibodies against cancer-specific antigens are also used for detection of certain cancers. Techniques of molecular biology can be applied to detect genes in individuals with inherited susceptibility to certain cancers. Identification of such genes which predispose an individual to certain cancers may be very helpful in prevention of cancer. Such individuals may be advised to avoid exposure of particular carcinogens to which they are susceptible, like tobacco smoke in case of lung cancer. Now, treatment of cancer. The common approaches for treatment of cancer are surgery, radiation therapy, and immunotherapy. In radiotherapy, tumor cells are irradiated lethally, taking proper care of normal tissue surrounding the tumor mass. Several chemotherapeutic drugs are used to kill cancerous cells. Some of these are specific for particular tumors. Majority of the drugs have side effects like hair loss, anemia, etc. Most cancers are treated by combination of surgery, radiotherapy, and chemotherapy. Tumor cells have been shown to avoid detection and destruction by immune system. Therefore, the patients are given substances called biological responses modifiers such as alpha interferon, which activates their immune system and helps in destroying the tumor. Drugs and alcohol abuse. Surveys and statistics show that the use of drugs and alcohol has been on the rise, especially among the youth. This is really a cause of concern as it could result in many harmful effects. Proper education and guidance would enables youth to safeguard themselves against these dangerous behavior patterns and follow healthy lifestyle. The drugs which are commonly abused are opioids, cannabinoids, and alkaloids. Majority of these are obtained from the flowering plants, some of them obtained from fungi. Opioids are drugs which bind to a specific opioid receptors present in our central nervous system and gastrointestinal tract. Heroin, commonly called smack, is chemically diacetylmorphine, which is white, odorless, bitter crystalline compound. This is obtained by acetylation of morphine, which is extracted from the latex of poppy plant Papaver somniferum. Generally taken by snorting and injection, heroin is a depressant and so slow down body function. Cannabinoids are a group of chemicals which interact with cannabinoid receptor present principally in the brain. Natural cannabinoids are obtained from the inflorescence of the plant Cannabis sativa. The flower, tops, leaves, and the resins of the cannabis plants are used in the various combination to produce marijuana, hashish, charas, and ganja. Generally taken by inhalation and oral ingestion, these are known for their effect on cardiovascular system of the body. Coca alkaloid or cocaine is obtained from coca plant Erythrochalum coca, native to South America. It interferes with the transport of the neurotransmitter dopamine, Cocaine, commonly called coke or crack, is usually snorted. It has a potent stimulating action on central nervous system, producing a sense of euphoria and increased energy. Excess dosage of cocaine cause hallucinations. Other well-known plants with hallucinogenic properties are atropa, belladonna, and datura. These days, cannabinoids are also being abused by some sports persons. Drugs like barbiturates, amphetamines, benzodiazepines, and other similar drugs that are normally used as medicine to help patients cope with mental illness like depression and insomnia are often abused. Morphine is a very effective sedative and painkiller and is very useful in patients who have undergone surgery. Several plants, fruits, and seeds have hallucinogenic properties have been used for hundreds of years in folk medicine, regular religious ceremonies, and rituals all over the globe. When these are taken for a purpose other than the medicinal use in or in amount frequencies that impairs one's physical, physiological, or psychological function, it constitutes drug abuse. Smoking also paves the way to hard drug. Tobacco has been used by human beings for more than 400 years. It is smoked, chewed, or used by a snuff. Tobacco contains a large number of chemical substances including nicotine and alkaloid. Nicotine stimulates adrenal gland to release adrenaline or noradrenaline into blood circulation. Both of which raise blood pressure and increase heart rate. Smoking is associated with increased incidence of cancers of the cell, lung, urinary bladder, and throat, bronchitis, emphysema, coronary heart disease, gastric ulcer, etc. Tobacco chewing is associated with the increased risk of cancer of the oral cavity. Smoking increases carbon monoxide content in the blood and reduces the concentration of hemo-bound oxygen. This causes oxygen deficiency in the body. When one buys packet of cigarette, one cannot miss the excretory warning. This is present on the packaging, which warns against smoking and say how it is injurious to health. Yet smoking is very prevalent in the society, both among young and old. Knowing the dangers of the smoking and chewing tobacco and its addictive nature, the youth and also old need to avoid these habits. Any addict requires counseling to and medical help to get rid of the habit. Adolescence and drug or alcohol abuse. Adolescence means both a period or process during which a child becomes mature in terms of his or her attitudes and belief for effective participation in society. The period between the 12 to 18 years of the age may be thought of as adolescence period. In other words, adolescence is a bridge linking childhood and adulthood. Adolescence is accompanied by several biological and behavioral changes. Adolescence this is a very vulnerable phase of mental and physiological development of an individual. Curiosity, need for adventure and excitement and experimentation constitute common cause which motivate youngsters towards drug and alcohol use. A child's natural curiosity motivates him or her to experiment. This is complicated further by effects that might be perceived as benefits of alcohol or drug use. Thus, the first use of drugs or alcohol may be out of the curiosity or experimentation, but later the child starts using these to escape facing problems. Of late, stress from pressure to excel in academics or examination has played a significant role in persuading the youngsters to try to alcohol and drugs. The perception among the youth that it is cool or progressive to smoke, use drug or alcohol, and is also in a way a major cause for youth to start these habits. Television, movies, newspapers, internet also help to promote this perception. Other factors that have been seen to be associated with the drug and alcohol abuse may among adolescents are unstable to or unsupportive family structures and peer pressure. Addiction and dependence. Because of the perceived benefit, drugs are frequently used repeatedly. The most important thing which one fails to realize is the inherent addictive nature of alcohol and drug. Addiction is a physiological attachment to certain effects such as euphoria and a temporary feeling of well-being associated with drugs and alcohol. This drive people to take them even when these are not needed or even when their use becomes self-destructive. With repeated use of drugs, the tolerance levels of the receptors present in our body increases. Consequently, The receptors respond only to higher doses of the drugs or alcohol, leading to greater intake and addiction. However, it should be clearly borne in mind that use of these drugs, even once, can be a forerunner to addiction. Thus, the addictive potential of drugs and alcohols pull the users into a vicious circle, leading to their regular use from which he or she may not be able to get out. In the absence of any guidance or counseling, the person get addicted and become dependent on their use. Dependence is the tendency of the body manifest a characteristic and unpleasant withdrawal syndrome. If regular dose of drugs, alcohol is abruptly discontinued, this is characterized by anxiety, sickness, nausea, and sweating, which may be relieved when use is resumed again. In some cases, withdrawal symptoms can be severe and even life-threatening, and the person may need medical supervision. Dependence leads to the patient to ignore all social norms in order to get sufficient funds to satiate his or her needs. This results in many social adjustment problems. Effects of drugs or alcohol use. The immediate adverse effects of drugs and alcohol abuse are manifested in the form of reckless behavior, vandalism, and violence. Excessive doses of drugs may lead to coma and death due to respiratory failure and heart failure or cerebral hemorrhage. A combination of drugs or their intake along with the alcohol generally resulted in overdosing and even death. The most common warning signs of drug and alcohol abuse among the youth include drop in academic performance, unexplained absence or a school college, lack of interest in personal hygiene, withdrawal, uh, isolation, depression, fatigue, aggressiveness, rebellious behavior, uh, deteriorating relationship with family and friends, loss of interest in hobbies, change in sleeping and eating habits, fluctuation in weight, appetite, etc. There may even be some far-reaching implication of drug alcohol abuse. If an abuser is unable to get money to buy drugs, alcohol, he may turn to stealing. The adverse effects are just not restricted to the person who is using drug and alcohol. At times, a drug and alcohol addict become the cause of mental and financial distress entire family and friends. Those who take drug intravenously are much more likely to acquire serious infection like AIDS and hepatitis B. The virus which are responsible for these diseases are transferred from one person to another by sharing the infected needles and syringe. Both AIDS and hepatitis B infection are chorionic infection and ultimately fatal. Both can be transmitted through sexual contact or infected blood. The use of alcohol during adolescence may also have long-term effects. It could lead to heavy drinking in adulthood. The chronic use of drugs and alcohol damages nervous system and liver. The use of drugs and alcohols during pregnancy is also to adversely affect the fetus. Another misuse of drugs is what certain sports persons do not do to enhance their performance. They misuse narcotic analgesics, anabolic steroids, diuretic, and certain hormones in sports to increase muscle strength and bulk and to promote aggressiveness and as a result increase athletic performance. The side effects of the use of anabolic steroids in female include masculinization features like males and increased aggressiveness, mood swings, depression, abnormal menstrual cycles, excessive hair growth on the face and body, enlargement of clitoris, dipping of voice. In males, it includes acne, increased aggressiveness, mood swings, depression, reduction of size of the testicles, decreased sperm production, potential for kidney and liver dysfunction, breast enlargement, premature baldness, enlargement of the prostate gland. These effects may be permanent with prolonged use. In the adolescent, male or female severe facial and body acne, and the premature closure of the growth centers of the long bones may result in stunted growth. Prevention and control. The old age prevention better than old age of prevention is better than cure. Holds true here also. It is also true that habits such as smoking, taking drug or alcohol are more likely to be taken up to a young age, more during adolescence, and it is best to identify the situation that may push an adolescent towards the use of drug and alcohol and to take remedial measures well in time. In this regard, the parent and the teachers have a special responsibility. Parenting that combines with the high levels of nurturance and consistent discipline has all been associated with the lowered risk of substance abuse. Some of the measures mentioned here would be particularly useful for prevention and control of alcohol and drugs abuse among adolescents. Avoid undue peer pressure. Every child his or her own choice and personality which should be respected and nurtured. A child should not be pushed unduly to perform beyond his or her threshold limits, be it studies, sports, or other activities. Education and counseling. Educating and counseling him, her to face problems and stresses and to keep accept disappointments and failures as a part of life. It would be both worthwhile to channelize the child's energy to into healthy pursuits like sports, reading, music, yoga, and other extracurricular activities. Seeking help from parents and peers. Help from parents and peers should be sought immediately so that they can guide appropriately. Help may be even sought from close or trusted friends besides getting proper advice to sort out their problems. This would help young to vent their feelings or anxiety and guilt. Looking for danger sign. Alert parents and teachers need to look for and identify the danger sign discussed above. Even friends, if they find someone using drug or alcohol, should not hesitate to bring this to the notice of parent or teacher in the best interest of the person concerned. Appropriate measures would then be required to diagnose the malady and the underlying cause. This would help in initiating proper remedial steps or treatment. Seeking professional and medical help. A lot of help is available in the form of highly qualified psychologists, psychiatrists, and de-addicted and rehabilitation programs to help individuals who have unfortunately got in the quagmire of drug or alcohol abuse. With such help, the affected individuals with sufficient efforts and willpower can get rid of the problem completely and lead a perfectly normal and healthy life. So that's it. Thank you so much.